We've waited this long to get our hands on the evidence we need. Don't get us killed now, Hunter.
I hardly slept a wink last night. I'm so excited to go out and see this new piece of evidence.
The slag was found in the desert.
Monster Hunter World is an unexpected title, one that I didn't expect I'd fall in love with so early on in the year, kickstarting 2018 in gaming with a massive bang. Now, I'll be honest, when I initially heard about the Monster Hunter World being announced, I wasn't particularly excited because I haven't experienced any of the prior Monster Hunter games. So for obvious reasons, when I saw a Monster Hunter World being announced, I thought it would be a title that I wouldn't be very interested in, and oh boy, was I wrong about that. Just as an example, when I started playing Monster Hunter World, I immediately sat for 12 hours, yes, 12 hours straight playing the game from the beginning until about midway in this game. And that is without doing any of the side quests. Monster Hunter World is the return of the Monster Hunter franchise. However, this title is more aimed at the Western audience, making it more accessible for the rest of the world. From looking at the previous titles, this is definitely a revitalization of the franchise, and it has made it easy for newcomers to learn and jump into this title. The story of Monster Hunter World is very basic from an outside point of view, but when you really dive into the lore, it is much deeper than some of its previous titles. This time around, players are able to play the story alone or with a player in multiplayer mode, although the multiplayer mode does have some issues at this moment. As beautiful as this world is, it is also dangerous, putting the players up against various monsters and dragons to hunt, investigate, and eventually find an Eldar dragon to become part of the salvation of humankind. At the start of the game, it is made obvious that you are part of the 5th fleet, thus there have been 4 fleets before you to protect the world who obviously didn't succeed in doing so. Again, the only history that I have on Monster Hunter franchise is that of what I've seen in various videos and reviews, but from what I've been reading, there is much more to the lore, hinting back to the previous titles, which hardcore Monster Hunter players will definitely pick up. Just as with any Monster Hunter title or with any RPG really, you start out with a bare minimum. You have a very weak set of armor along with a very weak weapon. However, you can choose between a set of 14 weapon types from the beginning. Crafting armor and weapons is a lot easier than what it looks, as the game can seem a bit overwhelming at the beginning. There is a lot to do, a lot to craft, and a lot to micromanage when being on the battlefield. However, Capcom has made it easy for newcomers to see which armor sets goes together, what ingredients and parts you need for certain potions and certain armors. Thus, it is very easy to see what you have and what you need to create a certain iron sword or to create a certain bone armor. There is also a tutorial level where you can test out any weapons to your heart's content, so there's no need to get a weapon and go on the battlefield only to die multiple times because you have no idea how this weapon works. Each weapon is unique in its own way, so I would recommend you at least try out every weapon once before focusing on a weapon of your choice. Monster Hunter World is, as the name implies, a new world for you to explore and an open world to a certain extent. I say to a certain extent because the maps does allow you to explore anywhere you want, but it does have its limitations. You can explore these maps alone or with friends up to 3 other players, and I highly recommend you get some additional players when taking on those Eldar dragons, as some of them can be a bit of a bullet sponge. Another thing to note is when you do take on some of the monsters or some of the dragons, their health is not indicated, so you actually have no idea when this monster is about to die. You only have visual cues such as the monster's spikes breaking off, its tail falling off, poison coming out of its mouth, or the monster trying to flee by limping away, giving you the indication that this monster is nearest death. The monster tends to flee to his nests where it tries to recuperate, so the best is to chase down this monster and try to kill it as soon as possible. You can also stun and capture monsters to inspect them, as you have some sort of Wikipedia within the game, take note Destiny, within the game, where you can look at some of the monster's weaknesses, strengths and how to kill it easier. When you explore the open world, You have a way of tracking down these monsters by finding different tracks, and then you have fireflies which guide you to these monsters. Each monster behaves differently, and often at times I found myself facing a monster only for another monster to interrupt me and battling this monster head on, giving me this epic showdown to watch. A lot of times I found myself just sitting back watching these two monsters beating each other up, only for me to sweep in and kill the weaker monster. Visually this game is stunning, and playing it on the PlayStation 4 Pro I had no issues at all. There are reports of people having issues on the standard PlayStation 4, but unfortunately I cannot confirm that since I only tested this on the PlayStation 4 Pro. The PC version is scheduled to release during March this year, and honestly I cannot wait to see how gorgeous this game will look on the PC. Even if you play by yourself, you aren't alone entirely. You have your cat sidekick known as the Palico race, which you can customize from the beginning as well as your character, and you can also craft armor and weapons for your Palico. One of the biggest problems I have with this game is playing multiplayer, because Capcom made it nearly impossible to join other players or for players to join you. For example, say player A and player B wants to play the game together, the story campaign together, then they are forced to start that mission separately, watch the cutscene separately, unskippable by the way, and then one player has to exit the game, the other player has to send an invite to that player to his game, and then that other player who was invited has to find that player's quest on the quest board and then join his game. Sounds confusing? It is a little bit, to be honest. I don't know why they didn't just make it an easy way where player A can join player B and together they can take on the story. Hopefully this will be patched in the future, but as it stands it is a bit problematic and time consuming to join other players' games. There is also a hub area that can take up to 16 players where you can arm wrestle, drink together and do all sorts of activities. But this game has a lot to offer to veteran and newcome players. However, there is some sort of sense of grinding to this game to get some of the higher gear, understandably so though. It is very easy for you to join a random player's game because you can send out some sort of flare, some sort of distress signal where any player can join your flare or you can join somebody else's flare. Overall, I had a blast playing Monster Hunter World, and it is a game that I'll be continuing playing with my friends for dozens and dozens of hours. Usually I rate games at a buy now, wait for sale, look in the bargain bin or rather void rating, and I would say that Monster Hunter World is definitely worth buying at a full price. Aside from the problematic multiplayer aspect, not to mention the lip syncing, this game has a lot going for it and I'm looking forward to the future of this franchise. But let me know in the comment sections below if you're playing Monster Hunter World and what was some of the most difficult monsters that you had to take down. For more reviews, check out the rest of my channel. If you like this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down. Well, please tell me why so I can improve my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the Red Tie Guy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.